Hey, Riding Side Saddle. It is Lisa.
And Tammy.
And we have a guest. We're
We
breaking
do.
all the rules in season 6. Every fucking rule. We made them, and now we're breaking them.
Remember Todd?
Yeah, do you remember Todd from season 5? 4-ish, maybe. 4.5, 5.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah. Todd from Mind Garden Media, that Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our cousin.
Yeah.
Well, we have another cousin.
We do.
We have a lot of cousins.
Yeah,
Let's just
that's
say that.
Also true.
But we have another cousin
We have Todd's sister.
from the same mother from Todd.
Yeah, we have Todd's sister, Vicki. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Vicki.
Hi.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us. So let me tell you a real quick story about how this went. First off, season 6, we weren't going to have guests.
No.
We chose to have just Tammy and I talking about this book.
Big long book club.
Right. Engaging it to our current life and experiences that we've had being women. And that was the plan. And then I started reading chapter 3. And not very far in, I was already reaching out to Tammy saying, so listen, this folklore is reminding me of Vicki. And what do you think about having her come on? And Tammy's like, that sounds like a great idea, but she's going to say no. You can try, but she's going to
She'll
say
say
no.
no. Just so you know, that's what will happen.
And I did.
Right. Like, Tammy is not psychic in that manner, but she knew exactly what was going to happen. Vicki said no, and I left it alone.
Thanks so much for thinking of me. That was very sweet, but I don't do podcasts.
Right.
Have a nice day.
Right. And then I said, awesome.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask. Thank you. And then Vicki reached back out again. And I was
Dang
like,
it, you guys.
yes. Right. So long story short, Vicki's here.
Yeah.
I am.
And we're thrilled to have you.
Absolutely.
And I truly feel that your experiences and your, what I know about, your journey in this life ties very closely with this. So I'm thrilled that you chose to change your mind. So thank you for coming.
There were parts of the book that definitely resonated with me. So I can see why you thought of me at least.
Yeah. You stuck right in there. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. I hope that you talk about those things where you're like, this is one of those points where I can see why you thought of me and explain why, because
Sure.
I'm not sure if I picked up on that nearly as easily as Lisa did.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm curious to
Fair enough.
see where you two are connected.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, and I forgot my book. Ugh. All of my tabs, all of my book is not with us. So I'm relying a bit on Tammy and Vicki to kind of guide some of this. And I'll interject with the pieces that stood out and that I remember. But they asked me if I wanted to talk about the folklore that
recap
starts
the
it off.
folklore, yeah.
So we're in chapter 3, excuse me.
And the book again is Women Who Run with the Wolves: Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, PhD.
Thank you.
In case you wanted to follow along.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting on page 76.
Correct.
It looks like. Again, it continues to follow suit as to, it takes a lot of energy to read this book.
It really does.
It takes a lot of focus and a lot of delving deep. I sent Vicki it's just a recording of a woman
it's not a
reading
formal narration.
Not at all.
Someone is literally reading it.
Yeah, it's off of YouTube. She sneezes.
terrible
Sometimes
quality.
I think her
Yeah.
dog barks in the background.
She's rustling papers a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And Vicki said, I hope this isn't the author because she's even having a hard time with some of the words.
I did say that.
So we recognize, and I recognize that this is a challenge.
Yeah.
I recognize that people are going to come in where they want to, right? If they want to pick up the book and read, if they want to listen to it, or heck, if you just even want to follow along with the podcast and just glean the high points that we've deemed as high points, all
That's
of those
okay,
are
too.
all of those are awesome.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
All right.
did have a hard time finishing this chapter, mostly because I didn't use my time wisely during the week. So I was really cramming to get it read. And the last, I don't know, maybe 10 pages or so, I still had to read before we met tonight.
Yeah.
And so I'm down to like the last couple, and my family comes home and they're just being who they are, right? They're not doing anything wrong, but they're talking. And I cannot have any noise when I'm trying to read this book. I have to hyper focus.
It's like studying for state exams.
It totally is. Cramming for finals. That's
Right.
what it's like. No noise. The bathroom fan is on. That's distracting. Got to turn that off. Like, I have to have the perfect environment to read this book. And now my family came home. I was scrambling, hoping I could get it done before they came home. That didn't happen. So I left early to come and meet you guys because I said, I can't read with you people around here. And it's not even your fault, because Josh and Sarah were both like, what did we do? You didn't do anything, but I need absolute silence. This book is really hard, and I can't get absolute silence with other people here, so I have to go.
So shush.
Right. Even if they had shushed, like if the TV's on or,
Right.
somebody's
Any
breathing
kind of
too
noise.
loud.
Right.
Right. It's like I need that kind of focus. It had nothing to do with them at all, but it takes every ounce of my focus to read this book. And it's not just this book. This is how I am with self-help books that get really deep. Brene Brown's her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, the same thing happens.
Yeah.
So I know it's not that
It's
this
not
book is so
specific
terrible.
to this.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
That's how I have to be. That's the state I have to be in, the environment I need in order to be able to take this in. Otherwise, I'm just reading and the words are flying by. And I know there was something important in there, but I can't focus.
Yeah. That's
So,
fair. That's
Yeah.
fair.
So
So what is the name of chapter 3?
nosing out the facts, the retrieval of intuition as initiation.
All right. So this starts out, her name is Vasilisa.
Yeah.
She is
A little bit like Lisa.
It is in the Cult Jam.
Yeah.
You know what generation I came from. So Vasilisa, the folklore starts out with her losing her mother.
Yeah. It reminded me a little bit of Cinderella at the beginning.
I agree.
A
and
lot.
Yeah, and I think even Snow White kind of starts
Sure.
out that same way. At least the Disney version. I don't know the true like Snow White story. Now that I'm reading folklore, I'd be interested to literally read those things and see where they differ from like what we know as those now.
stories.
Yeah. That would be very fascinating to me, but we won't. I digress. So she loses her mother, and I believe on her mother's deathbed, her mother gives her a small doll
Yeah.
Yes.
as a parting, I love you,
Mm-hmm.
take care of this, keep this with you always, you will remember me, that type of thing. So the mother passes and the father remarries, and she gains a stepmother and a couple of stepsisters.
Yes.
Right?
Two.
Two of
Two of
them.
them.
Mhm. As the story goes, I don't know really where the father goes. Does he die? Or is he just
I
not
think he's
present?
just not present.
Okay. So he's not
Maybe-
present in the
Is he
situation.
dead?
I don't think he's
I don't
dead.
think he's dead.
It
either.
just
I think
doesn't
he's
speak
just-
about him.
Yeah.
It speaks about the relationship between the stepmother, the stepsisters, and Vasilisa.
That's the primary focus.
Yeah, and that's where the Cinderella piece really comes in,
For
is
sure.
that she's treated very poorly. She's definitely not at the level that the stepmother treats her own daughters.
She's the servant.
She
Yeah.
really is there to tend to them
For sure.
for a long period of
They
time.
tormented her.
And I don't gather through the story that she is even really all that upset. Like, she just kind of takes it and just like, this is just the way this is, and this is my role in this situation, and okay, I guess I'm okay with it. So given that, the stepmother decides that, you know what, they just really don't need Vasilisa in this gig anymore. So they conjure up a plan to kind of just get rid of her.
Right.
For good.
Right.
Yeah.
So the way that they do that is they have to convince her that they don't have fire. They don't have what they need to keep the household warm, and it's her responsibility to go deep into the forest and get them the fire that they need.
Right.
In order to do that, she has to connect with a hag, a witch, how it's perceived in this. And the witch's
Baba
name.
Yaga.
Thank you. I was trying so hard because I was like mixing it up in my head. So Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga is.
She's frightening.
She is frightening, but I'm going to detract a little very quickly from the story. Baba Yaga is a main central. She's central to a lot of folklore.
Yes.
She is a witch or a hag that is known across many, many stories and many, many traditions. So when I say witch and hag, you know, and they do portray her that way in the story, where she's scary and nobody crosses her, and she's got, you know, grotesque features and all of the things that you imagine when you think of a witch. But historically, witches and hags weren't considered like terrible, mean, wretched, scary beings. Like witches and hags were wise women.
Yes.
And healers and
Yes.
the knowers of all things. So Baba Yaga, as scary as she is portrayed and may have looked,
It's deceiving.
it is deceiving because it covers her wisdom.
Oh.
Okay,
Got
so she, sorry, so
Well, they were hoping that Baba Yaga would kill
her, or she'd get
Vasilisa.
lost and, you know,
Right.
killed
Never
along the
return.
way.
Die in the woods.
They just
Yeah.
wanted her gone.
Yeah.
So they said, listen, it's your job, servant Vasilisa, to go and get us the fire that we need. We
Yeah.
can't do it.
I'm
These are all the
old,
reasons.
My daughters are scared.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's you.
Just you.
It's you, bitch. You
You're
better
it.
get out there, right?
Right.
Get your sack and carry on. So she does.
And get some coal so we can start our fire.
Right. So she leaves.
Yep.
And
Okay.
she's scared, right? She has a
But
very
she
long
puts
journey.
That doll that her mom gave her.
That's right.
She brings the doll. She puts that in her pocket.
Right. So that's her companion
Yeah.
through this whole journey through the woods to Baba Yaga to get what they need. Was it coal?
Yes,
Well, that's
coal.
what she
Okay,
said.
thank
Yeah,
you.
bring back coal.
To get what they need for the fire, the coal. So she starts
felt
out
better just touching the doll made her feel better.
Well, right.
Like
and
an
it was
emotional support.
that's right. It was a
Yeah.
connection to her
It was like
mother
her
who she
blankie.
loves, and
Yeah.
you know, she was a good mother, and she, you know, held security to that.
Yeah.
So as she continues through the forest, suddenly she finds herself not really quite sure exactly which direction to go. And then she starts to hear the doll speaking to
Should I
her,
go this way? Yes. No.
Mhm.
Go this way. Don't do that. Go here.
providing
Yeah.
her direction, prodding her, giving her the, you know, the
Mhm.
answers that she needs to be able to continue on the journey. She does come across some characters in the forest. Am I right?
Yep, she does. So first she feeds the doll a little bread.
Thank you.
It's always that seems to be pretty important that she feeds the doll.
Okay. So she's nourishing.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Mhm.
right. Then she sees a man in white on a white horse that gallops by, and suddenly it's daylight. Then, a little farther on, a man in red saunters by on a red horse, and the sun rises. Then, a little while later, she comes to the hovel of Baba Yaga, and a rider dressed in black comes out on a black horse and rides right into Baba Yaga's hut. And suddenly it's dark.
Okay.
It's nighttime.
Okay. They don't engage with her at all. It's
Mm-mm.
just something that she
Yep.
experiences on the
Right.
journey. She finally gets to Baba Yaga's hut,
Yeah.
which is a unique hut to begin with. Characteristics are very unusual.
It looks like a cauldron.
with chicken legs.
With chicken
Right.
legs.
Move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
like
So the house is moving.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it dances and twists around. And,
It has a life of its own.
right.
And she makes her way there, and she asks Baba Yaga for the coal of what she needs. And she's scared, right? Baba Yaga is definitely a scary looking creature, kind
Her
of.
hair is greasy. She's got a big crooked hooked nose, and she's long
she's
fingernails
scary.
that were thick and rigid and probably full of
Lots of
fungus.
things. Well, everything that you might imagine of
We had to
of
go
a
there.
witch,
Yeah.
right? Right? And
Yeah.
she says, "Hold up, Missy.
What do you want?
I'm not giving you shit." Right? Like,
Yeah.
if you expect to get something from me, you have to do a number of things for me to even identify that you're worthy of such a thing. Why would I give you a gift like that unless you've deemed yourself worthy?
Yes.
You need to earn it.
Yes.
You need to earn it. I'm going to back up just a little bit
Thank you.
because Vasilisa calls her grandmother, which I thought was interesting as I'm reading the folklore. Later on, it becomes clear to me why she calls her grandmother, but when she asks for the fire, grandmother, I came for fire. And Baba Yaga snaps, "Oh, yes, I know you and your people."
Interesting.
Mhm.
Thank you for
Right.
that.
So, let me see here. She, the Baba Yaga says, "What makes you think I should give you the flame?" And Vasilisa talks to the doll, and she says, "Because I asked." And that was the right answer.
Okay.
Not because I deserve it, not because of
Because
I need it,
I'm
but
inherently
because
worthy.
but because I asked for it.
Right.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
And then she goes on to be like, "Well, I'm not just going to give you."
thank you.
Yeah.
And she puts forth a couple of tasks that Vasilisa has to perform successfely.
Yeah.
Crazy amounts of, like, this isn't even possible
Right.
types of task. The first one, I believe, was corn, right? Related to corn.
Separating the moldy corn from the good corn.
Well, first she
Yes.
had to wash the clothes and sweep the yard and clean the
Ah.
house and prepare the food. Oh yeah, and the corn.
And the
Yep,
corn.
the corn was
Yes.
part of that.
Yes.
Right. And if all of that isn't done when I get back, you're
dead.
Off
Like,
with your head.
This isn't
Yeah.
even like turn around, little missy, and go back home.
Nope.
Like, you don't earn the coal that you need.
No.
This is all
It's
right,
your
well,
life
you
or
asked.
these chores.
Right.
Yeah.
You asked, so now you're in. You can't get back out of this.
Right.
It's either good or really, really bad. So she leaves.
Right. And Vasilisa talks to her doll then. I don't know. What
She
should I do?
hustles her ass.
What should I do? Can I get all this done? And the doll assures her she can. Why don't you just go eat a little something and then go to sleep?
Yeah.
So she fed the doll too and then went to sleep. And in the morning, the doll had done all of the work.
And Baba Yaga comes back.
Yeah. And cooks the meal. She found everything to be as she expected it to be. And she was pleased, but also not pleased because she wanted to find some fault, but she couldn't.
Right. So then
You're lucky.
She sends
That kind of
Yeah,
response.
right. But she doesn't actually give her what she's looking for yet.
Nope.
Correct.
Nope. You still didn't earn it.
She spends a whole nother period of time, day, I think, in the story,
Yep.
with a whole new set of tasks.
Yep.
So again, all
the
of
house,
the
sweep
cleaning,
the
the
yard.
washing,
Yep.
the cooking, like the gathering of things.
And
And then she also has to separate poppy seeds from
dirt.
Dirt.
right, from dirt.
Yeah, millions of
Impossible.
poppy seeds.
Right?
Yeah.
A most
seemingly
impossible task.
For sure.
Because if you ever have opened,
A bag of poppy seeds?
it looks
like dirt.
yes,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
very small and minute. Like, it would be impossible. And that came through from Vasilisa to be like, how am I ever?
How am
This
I going to
isn't
do
even
that?
possible.
Right.
How? What?
Well, the doll whispers to her, "It's okay. Don't worry. I'll take care of it."
And she does.
And she does.
She goes to sleep. They
Yeah.
feed. I think she feeds her
Feeds her again. Yep.
Goes to sleep, and in the morning, these impossible tasks have been completed. She sees the two piles, one of dirt and one
Yeah.
of poppy seeds, and it's done.
Right.
And again, Baba Yaga sees that she was successful.
She does, but before that, she starts asking the grandmother some questions. And Baba Yaga says, "You can ask, but remember, too much knowledge can make a person old too soon."
So that was before she saw her success of the
Yes.
poppy seeds?
No,
Okay.
that was after.
Okay.
And Vasilisa asked about the white man on the white horse. And Baba Yaga said, "Oh, that is my day." And the red man on the red horse, "Oh, that's my rising sun." And the black man on the black horse, "Well, that's the third, and he's my night."
Mm-hmm.
And then Baba Yaga says, "Wouldn't you like to ask some more questions? Don't you want to know more?" And Vasilisa was about to ask some other things, but the doll was jumping up and down in her pocket.
Don't do it.
Right.
Zip it.
And then she said, nope, grandmother. As you say yourself, to know too much can make one old too soon. So then she says something about her being wise beyond her years and things like this. And said, "How did you come to be this way? By the blessing of my mother." Blessing? Ha! We need no blessings around this house. You'd best be on your way, daughter. So she pushes her out into the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll give you a little light. Here's the stick with a human skull on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's your fire.
Right. Inside of that was the coal,
right?
The burning ember that she needed in order to journey back to her home.
Right. Don't say another word. Just be on your way.
So she skedaddles.
So she did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She journeys back through the forest. I think that was uneventful, if I remember correctly. She's carrying her skull on a stick with the burning ember inside, and she arrives.
She was afraid of this burning skull.
She almost wanted to get rid of it.
She did,
right? A couple of times on the journey. Like, ugh, this does not. I'm not used to this. This doesn't feel good to me.
Right.
Then she arrives back home, and she's shockingly greeted, right, by her
they
stepmother.
thought she was long dead.
Yeah.
And with her bones dragged away by animals, and good riddance.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They were terrible to her.
But then the tables turn.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think that, if I recall correctly, the interaction wasn't a very long one before the skull had chosen to take action on the stepmother and
by
stepdaughters.
morning
they were gone.
Yep.
They were dead.
Burned up.
The skull was listening and watching. So it was observing how they were treating her.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty significant
Yeah,
later.
That makes much sense based on what I was refreshing on tonight.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay.
So that was it.
And that was
really.
the end.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the folklore. That was the story that kind of creates the opportunity to really understand that the symbolism that
So
comes
that's
along
the art,
with that.
and now we got to pick it apart.
Woo-wee!
Lisa's favorite.
I do love it.
Yeah. So Clarissa says, to grasp the import of such a tale, we understand that all its components represent characterizations of a single woman's psyche. All aspects of the story belong to an individual psyche undergoing the initiatory process. Initiation is enacted by completing certain tasks. In this tale, there are 9 tasks for the psyche to complete. So, the first task.
You know, this is something that, this is one of those chapters, and I think I said it to you early on. This is something that you have to go back, I feel like you can get it at a high level, and you're like, oh, yeah. But 9 tasks, I read that, and I listened to it, I'm like, holy crap, there were 9 tasks? I didn't get it. I couldn't take all of that in the first time around. So it feels like it's something that, once you have a couple of nuggets out of this, then you have to go back again.
And read it.
At least for me. I can't take all that in at the same time.
No, I can't either, but I have tabs. So
Fair enough.
That is one part of the book that really resonated with me, in that in order to open your gifts, you have to complete the tasks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From an intuitive perspective, right?
Mhm.
So,
And in order, like you can't just do this. There's a very particular order that this happens in.
agree.
Mm-hmm.
It's the puzzle pieces, right? It's the keys to unlock the aspects of what power you have that you don't even know.
Right. I think it's also very much the process of growing up. It's the journey that we all take, right? And we all get to these stages at different times, much like a baby, right? Not every baby on their 3rd month birthday sits up by themselves.
Mhm.
But sometime around 3 months, they start to hold their head up,
Yeah.
right? Oh, maybe sometime around 4 or 5 months, they can sit up by themselves. Some babies are sitting up at 3 months and some babies are sitting up at 8 months. But sometime around, right? It's kind of like that.
I think that it is like that. And in addition, it's also completing your tasks.
Yes.
Like
Well, right, but
in
you can't-
combination.
Yes, but
You
so-
can't get access to some of your tasks until you're maybe matured to a certain level.
I agree, that's right. But you can't sit up until you can hold your head up. You can't.
Right.
You
We're
know
saying
what
the
I mean?
same thing.
We are.
I do.
Right. You can't crawl until you can sit by yourself.
You also don't know which tasks are going to be that puzzle piece or the thing that opens the box. And that is the reason why I came back and said, yes, I would do the podcast. Initially, I was like, no, this is not my deal.
And she was.
Absolutely.
No.
It didn't take her any time at all to
Thanks,
think about
but
that.
no.
The nicest way possible, like to come up with. But I was saying no.
Hell no.
But then I realized the greatest
Oh, maybe those girls are giving me a gift, and I ought to think about it.
Is greater when we're doing the tasks that make us feel uncomfortable, or the tasks that we fear, or the tasks that are harder. That's where the reward comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said yes.
Yay.
That makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I'll take it one way or another, Vicki.
For sure. Well, in this book, the first task is allowing the too good mother to die. So remember
Yes.
at the beginning of the fairy tale, her
I
mom
do.
dies.
Mhm.
She's the too good mother.
Yes.
She's the one who means well, but keeps her too safe. She can't grow because the too good mother is there. So she's got to go.
All right. That's fair. That's fair.
It's the ever watchful eye, hovering, protective, psychic mother is not adequate as a central guide for one's future instinctual life.
You have to step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is why Vicky's here.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So I'm getting
Yeah.
hives as we're saying this
Oh
part.
no,
Not
really.
No, not really. But my mom listens.
Mm-hmm.
And she will for certain listen to this one because she was also an advocate for
you.
Vicki
Yeah.
to
Yes.
come and
For sure.
participate. So thank you, Mom. She knows probably what I'm going to say based off of this too good mother. But we've talked about it many, 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 many times. So this isn't something that she's going to be hurt or surprised by. But our relationship as I was growing up was very centrally based around that too good mother.
Yeah.
Too protective, too like, I don't want anything to hurt you. Don't do this. Just listen to what I say. And it was like most teenagers, right? Like there's an aspect of rebellion, and I'm going to do what I want, and don't tell me.
You don't
and,
know me.
right?
Yeah.
And there was certainly that, and that's normal and that's healthy, for that separation to occur. And it was significant. Like it in my mind felt different than what a traditional relationship of separation might be. But it was in part because she loved us like so much, then the best way to love us in her mind was to protect us
Keep you
from
safe.
anything.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
just
sure.
do what I say.
Right.
And
But meanwhile, you're aching to spread your wings and you
yes.
can't.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember a particular conversation I had with her when I was that age. And I was like, listen, I just need to make my own decision. Like, I might screw it up. And that's okay. Like, you have to let me
But
do
you
that.
have to give me that space.
And she looked at me so confused, like, but if I know the answer and you are going to screw it up, like, I can't just let you screw it up and, like, not interject.
Not say something. Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you can, because I have to be able to do it myself, even if it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a block at that point. I think now, as women, right, we can have those conversations from my childhood to say, like, that
was a pivot
caused,
point.
Yeah, that caused some stuff, man. And now we can understand it and relate to it together. But that too protective, I can't grow because of that level of protection.
Because you're too good of a mother.
Yeah, it was.
It's suffocating.
It's
Yeah.
suffocating.
Yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Right.
was. So I feel that. I feel that too good mother.
Right. Well, and Clarissa goes on to say, becoming alert by oneself, for oneself, letting die what must die. As the too good mother dies, the new woman is born.
Right. I to be able to make decisions and fuck it up.
Right.
Right?
Well,
Because if I didn't fuck it up, I wasn't going to learn.
because words don't teach.
Right.
Experience does.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, letting aspects of that die so that you could develop yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And your own intuition, because that's specifically what is being talked about here.
Right. So even though the too good mother cannot live and influence beyond a certain point, if she does right by her offspring, then that's where she blesses Vasilisa with the doll.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't come with you. I do need to die, but here's a little piece of me that you can take with you to help you, to guide you. I'm giving you this. That's where Vicki comes in. That's when you started to think of Vicki.
It was
Oh.
immediately when I started to
Interesting.
think of Vicki, because now I don't know your story and how you kind of started to develop into intuition as strongly as you have, deeply. I don't know the story detail by detail, but I do recall that as your mother transitioned, right, from this life to afterlife, that is when some of that started to, like, open up for you.
Right.
So it was for you, if I'm understanding it, and you can correct me where I'm wrong, but for you, it was the handing of the Tao to say, I'm leaving, but this part of you, I'm leaving it with you. Take care, right? Take care and grow with it.
Yeah, so when Mom passed, I was power of attorney for both of my parents. That left me taking care of my dad, who had dementia. And I remember before she passed saying to me, "You're going to have your hands full." And I said, "Yes, I know." I didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue
Oh.
of all the things that, she was handling for him.
Yeah.
Things he couldn't do on his own. So that responsibility, in the book, they talk about like a darkness. It says, "We may be nice instead of knowing. However, the reward for being nice is oppressive circumstances. A woman may lose her psychic bearing and feel cold and alone, willing to do anything to bring back the light again. This is an induction into her own power." So when I read that, I resonated with that because in my eyes, it talked about darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes suppressing emotions will turn out the light, the fire goes out, but it's a catalyst to help snap us out of our submission. And so the old way of life dies and we step into a new one. That's what happened. I went into complete darkness. I
Yeah.
felt so overwhelmed. Dad needed to go into a nursing home. He was deemed incompetent. We needed to sell the family estate built on family land. That home is no longer in the family.
Yeah,
we had to sell
That's
it.
painful.
Which is
So-
very hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
The responsibility of that, that to me was very significant, to lose that in our family line,
Yeah.
to be able to have to sell that. And so I went into a deep darkness, but that darkness was necessary in order for my gifts to develop.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the very first vision I had. I remember the month, the year that it happened. And the very first vision I had was a sloth. They were telling me, slow down. I needed to meditate more, be more calm, stop running around with like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to take care of everybody and everything.
Yeah.
Take some time for yourself. And once I did that, that just kept developing my gifts. The more I meditated, those pictures went to movies. And it just progressed from there.
That's amazing.
I wonder if that is part of the second task, exposing the crude shadow.
Continue.
I don't know where you got that particular quote from, so I might be speaking out of turn here, but it sounds to me like we've moved into the shadow, the darkness.
Yep.
Right? It is it's making the best relationship one can with the worst parts of oneself, letting the pressure build between what one is taught or who one is taught to be and who one really is. Ultimately working toward letting the old self die and the new intuitive self be born. Right?
Yeah.
It sounds very much in line with what you
Yeah.
just said.
I was two completely different people.
Yeah.
And this didn't happen until I was in my 50s.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like I had gifts prior to that. So again, going back to what we said earlier, you need to complete the tasks to open the box, to have the opportunities. Part of my task was being the power of attorney, taking care of my father, making these decisions. They were tough decisions to make.
Yeah.
But that then opened the box.
Well, it allowed the opportunity to look at the box,
Yeah.
but then you had to make the conscious choice, right? If
Yeah.
you would have continued with how you did things historically, right? Running around trying to
Right.
like meet everybody's needs and not focusing on yourself, which in turn by focusing on yourself allowed you to meditate more, allowed you to slow down your mind enough to be able to receive information in a more effective way. So it's multifaceted.
It is.
And I feel it feels like every bit, right? So she talks about this doll, and I know I'm jumping around because I don't have the book in front of me, so I apologize. But this journey through the forest with the doll, the doll's giving information. It doesn't like freak out to say, listen to me, until she's with Baba Yaga and like the doll's jumping up and down. But through the forest, it says, go left, go right, go left, go right. And I envision that to be a very subtle, right? I have to be listening.
Yep.
I have to be listening, and I have to follow it. So for you, slow down and meditate. Well, that was a separate choice from being the power of attorney for your parents.
Right.
And you could have said no or chose to ignore that. And then the lock wouldn't have opened. It wouldn't have given you the puzzle piece.
So taking that a step further, when the doll is jumping up and down, is that when you are, or a person is so far off their path, right? You don't need the gentle nudges. They need to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
You're going in the wrong direction. that's when the doll is jumping up and down.
Yep.
I think so. That comes in a little bit later
it does.
in the
Yep.
story, right? So when she is, she's already done all of the hag's work, right?
Yep.
Baba Yaga's work. She's done all of that. She separated the moldy corn and the poppy seeds and all of those things, and then she's going to ask more questions, right?
Right.
But be careful. Don't ask too many, because if you know too much, you'll be old before your time.
Mm-hmm.
And so the doll's jumping up and down. That absolutely is to get her attention, right?
Right.
And while the doll didn't actually say anything, she was just jumping up and down. Don't do it. Almost like danger, danger, right?
Yeah.
But before that, that doll was quiet. It was more whispery.
Right.
Right.
Listen. Pay
Yes.
attention.
Right. So in the this second task, this shadow, like the shadow work, basically, in that fairy tale, Vasilisa's stepfamily is the part of her psyche that pinches off the nerve to her life's vitality. It enters as a chorus of unredeemed hags who taunt, "You can't do it, you're not good enough, you're not bold enough, you're stupid, you don't have time, you're only good for simple things." It's that tape, right? We've
God,
talked
it
about that
sounds
before.
familiar, doesn't
that
it?
tape that we all have that keeps us small, that says, "Oh, that looks dangerous, don't do
Right.
that."
Right.
"Oh, you don't want people to see too much of you, don't do that."
Too busy. Sorry.
Right. Right. All the things that hold us
Not
back.
smart enough to join a podcast.
Oh. We're just chatting in a car.
You're way smart enough.
Way smart enough, for sure. We're literally just talking in the car.
It's the things we tell ourselves.
It is, though,
Yeah.
right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
And it's loud and it's mean and it's like straight in your face.
Absolutely. Give up while you're ahead. So as Vasilisa is not yet fully conscious of her powers, right? She hasn't stepped into her own yet. She allows this evil to crimp her lifestyle.
Right.
Right? Like we all do.
I'll adjust. I'll become smaller. I won't step out of the
Yes.
norm.
Right. Right.
I won't take a risk.
Right.
Mhm.
But in order for her to regain her life, something different, something life-giving must occur. And that's when she gets sent to Baba Yaga's house.
Right.
Because up to that point, her stepfamily, that evil tape of hers, she was busy. She was
just
real
do it.
busy
I'll
doing
just
all
do
the
it.
things.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's not, turn the apple cart.
Yes.
I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
Right. Right. Busy doing all of the things that kept her from growing into her own.
Right.
Right. So kind of like what Vicki was saying, right? Up until the point where you got quiet,
Right. I was
you were
doing
really
what
busy.
everybody wanted me to do for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's
That
a,
is-
that's a hard fucking shift to make.
Yeah, it is. Right.
When you've done it
your whole life.
yeah. Like every part of you. I don't
Right.
know how to
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it different.
Right.
Yeah, so here, this line just popped out at me. Although a woman feels that if she is herself, she will alienate others, it is just this psychic tension that is needed in order to make soul and create change. The reward for simply being nice in oppressive circumstances is to be mistreated all the more.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who have
That story?
absolutely.
Me too.
It's kind of like the there's always somebody at work who the more work you give them, the more work they get done.
Yeah.
If you want something done, give it to a busy person.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right. It also leads to no boundaries. Right? You submit without complaint. You do all of the chores. You just don't complain. You don't push back. You don't speak up. Because you don't have any goddamn boundaries. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when the fire was put out, that helped to snap Vasilisa out of her submission. It caused her to die, her old way of life to die, and to step with shivers into a new life, one which is based on an older, wiser kind of inner knowing. Eeps.
Right.
That's kind of big. I mean, it was real comfy when the fire was going.
It's
right?
fine. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. No waves. No, does it suck? Yeah, it kind of sucks. I really don't like it, but I really don't want to upset.
Right, the apple cart.
Yes.
It's comfortable because
The
I know
fire's
this.
still right.
It's warm.
Oh my gosh.
I know my role. I know how to do this.
Right.
I don't like it.
The difference between comfortability and good, like, they look very similar, right? It doesn't necessarily, just because it's comfortable doesn't mean it's good
No.
for you,
Right.
right?
And oftentimes it isn't.
And they feel sometimes the same, right?
Mm.
Like, they feel the same. We just have to continue.
Okay.
It's not
not coming
connecting
together?
for me right now.
I think
I'll
it is.
interrupt in an odd situation a little bit later once it's completely connected.
Let's make it awkward. We haven't done that yet. Well, this leads to the third task, navigating in the dark.
So this is when she's in the forest.
This is when she is, maybe in the forest.
Uh-huh.
She's talking about this was a little bit confusing to me. The doll is related to the symbols of leprechaun, elf, pixie, fairy, and dwarf. In fairy tales, these represent a deep throb of wisdom within the culture of the psyche. They are those creatures which go on with the canny and interior work, who are tireless.
Yep.
The psyche works even when we sleep, most especially when we're asleep.
Yeah. So do you remember any of the stories from when you were kids about, like, the shoemaker and the little elves who would make the shoes?
Yeah.
That's what this is talking about.
Sure.
Like, that symbolizes this aspect of yourself that does not stop. Like, you can stop, you can go to sleep, but things come through. Things come through in dreams. You go to sleep with a question in mind, and then you wake up the next day with an answer, because those elves or this doll or your psyche, like that intuitive
continues
nature,
to work.
it doesn't stop.
It doesn't.
So it's doing your work. It's doing your work while you for
The
you.
body needs the sleep,
Right,
but our psyche does
Right,
not.
right.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you got for me? I'm bored, dude.
Right.
Give me something.
Right. So fall asleep with a whole bunch of questions. Good luck falling asleep, though.
It speaks to that at the end
does,
of this
doesn't it?
chapter. And, like, if you have a question, something that
It's
really,
bothering you.
like, ask it and even say it out loud. And the likelihood of it being presented to you by the morning, it's high.
Right. I have had instances even where I've lost something, and I'm, and I go to bed thinking about it. I can almost feel where that whatever I can't find.
Right.
I don't, whether it's a key or a
Whatever.
I don't know,
Right.
a flash drive, or
A
I'm
pen,
looking for pictures. Where's
the top
that
of
picture?
a pen.
Yes, a
It's
pen
fine.
cap. Who knows? And like you can, I know, like I know it. I can feel it's here somewhere, and I go to sleep, and that's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wake up, and I know where it is.
Yes, that.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, you're welcome. Wink.
Yes. Right. Well, so in this fairy tale here, the doll represents the inner spirit of us as women, the voice of inner reason, inner knowing, and inner consciousness. So when that doll later on at the end of the fairy tale is jumping up and down in her pocket, that's when you are really able to dial in. When you
Yes.
just know, like
Yes.
it's not a little whisper. It's your insides are jumping up and down. This is not a good thing for you. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Right.
Zip it.
Right. Right. I feel like the doll represents what you receive innately. Like
Absolutely.
it's the price of entry, right? As a human, you have this aspect of intuition, and she develops that more and more, and she listens as it quietly, gives her instruction through the forest, and she's like, all right, I'm getting this. Oh, you said left? Cool. I don't even look the other direction, right? Like, I'm not even looking to the right. I'm not questioning it. I'm just going to go to the left. And the more and more through the forest she does this, the more in tune it becomes.
For sure.
Which is good, right? Because that's what we should be doing. We should be hearing it and recognizing like, oh, this is a little bit quiet, but don't question. Just do it.
I think that I think it is quiet initially because you're not
sure.
as in tune. Right, but you're not as in tune with your intuition.
You're not
right? You don't trust
exercising
it. You don't exercise
You're not
it.
exercising it.
It's like a muscle.
It's like a muscle.
Yeah.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
That. So now she can feel it jumping up and down. Maybe it always had been. She couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I'm not saying this in contradiction at all, but I have had experiences in my life where my intuition like screamed at me. Not because I had exercised the muscle, because I've
weren't there.
I wasn't there, and I've exercised the muscle more in the past year than I have ever in my whole life. However, in instances where I was at a crossroads that was going to change the trajectory of my life, it screamed at me. Like I could not ignore it.
That's what I was saying. It's when you're off the path.
Yes.
You're not on the path. You're going the wrong direction.
Yes.
It's screaming at you
Like,
to
yes.
make a different change. Change direction.
That.
Yeah.
And it had nothing to do with whether or not I exercised my intuition.
I think it can be both. I think it can be what you're saying,
Me
Tammy.
too.
Yeah. It's both.
I'm not saying that in contradiction,
No,
because
I
I
hear
believe
you.
you, and that makes 100%
Sure.
sense to me. And I experienced this other thing.
Right. I too experienced it, and I still moved forward, even though I knew with every ounce of my being, this is not right for me.
Yeah.
But I have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. My insides were jumping up and down all around.
Right.
But
Right.
this is what I have to do. I didn't feel like I had truly any other choice.
Yeah. I can understand
It just
that.
prolongs the inevitable.
It does.
Right?
And it makes it hurt more.
Absolutely it
Yeah.
does. Okay, if that's what you want to do, you still have free will.
Right.
Right?
100%. Like
Yeah.
in every situation that I can think of and recount where it screamed at me, and I can think of 3 off the top of my head, I did listen, but it was because I was shocked and like scared by how it came through. And I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, don't fuck with it. Like this means business.
Mhm.
But I could have chosen the other way.
Sure.
Right.
Right. She's talking about oh gosh, we're already late, aren't we? Well, I have a couple more tabs.
We're gonna have to do this in 2 parts
All
again.
right. Well,
We're-
all right,
This
fair
is
enough.
just such good shit.
It is. We're never going to get to the end of this season.
We will.
It might be a double. It might be a twofer.
Maybe.
We'll just keep rolling. This intuition, she's talking about how you feed intuition.
Bread. Duh.
Well, all
I'm
right.
just kidding.
Unless
Now
you're,
I've made it awkward.
unless you're, there you go. Now we're done. I was going to say, unless you're on keto, in which case probably no bread. She says that being bound to one's intuition promotes a confident reliance on it, no matter what. It changes a woman's guiding attitude from what will be to let me see all there is to see. So you don't just have to, kind of be resigned and roll with it.
Right.
You can actively go out and look for things and know that you will be guided to the exact right place.
Correct.
She says, what does one feed intuition so that it is consistently nourished and responsive to our requests to scan our environs? One feeds it life. One feeds it life by listening to it. What good is a voice without an ear to receive it? What good is a woman in the wilds of a megatropolis or daily life unless she can hear and depend upon the voice of the one who knows?
Mm-hmm. So exercising the muscle.
Exercising
It's
the
saying
muscle.
it in a
Yeah,
very lovely, eloquent way, but it's the same thing.
right.
Yeah.
How many times
It's going to atrophy, right? Just like a muscle would if it's not being functional and used, it's going to atrophy.
Absolutely. How many times have you said, or someone has said to you, oh, I knew I shouldn't have done that, but I did it anyway?
Yep.
Or the other, I listened to my intuition and this is how it worked out. Good thing I did. Right?
All the time.
Mm-hmm. I knew I shouldn't have, but I did it. Even though I am much better about listening to that little voice than I have ever been, there are still times where I'm like, it'll be fine. And it's not.
Those are the tests. The testers.
The little ones,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one of our episodes, Lisa, you talked about putting your favorite glass on the edge of the counter and knowing, don't put it there. It's going to break.
I heard the voice. Like it was there.
Sure enough, there it was, shattered on the ground.
And there I was.
Right.
Very sad that I did not listen.
Yep. Yes. Right. Right.
All
right. I guess we should pause here.
We should. So we're going to record both of these episodes in the same evening, so we can take advantage of
but we'll
Vicki
break it
being
here.
So you'll hear her in our next episode as well, sharing perspective and insight.
That's a little trick, hey, Vic?
Yeah.
You thought it was only
Snuck that
one.
one in.
This is by pure happenstance. You are welcome.
Poor Vicki. She might leave as soon as we push stop here.
I wonder if Todd's giggling right
If
now.
anybody sees Vicki running around Fond du Lac, stop and give her a lift. She's running for her life.
Her doll is jumping up and down right now.
Right.
She's like, that bitch.
Didn't see that. Where was my intuition?
Right.
Oh, that's funny.
All right.
Speaking of Todd.
Speaking of Todd, thank you as always. Todd does all of our editing through Mind Garden Media to be able to support us through this journey of 6.4 seasons. So thank you very much. If you are interested in pursuing a podcast, he's the guy to talk to. Either reach out to them, they're online and you can find information.
Mind Garden Media.
By searching on Mind Garden Media, or give us a shout and we are happy to make a connection as well. Thank you also to our listeners who are hanging on with us through all of our awkwardness and fun insight. So we appreciate you. What do you always say? Like, share?
Yes, please do. Like and share. Smash all the buttons. Forward. Do all the things.
That's it.
That helps support our podcast and keeps us going.
Sure does.
Yeah. So next time we will pick up at the bottom of page 94. We're going to be on task number 4.
All right.
So till then, see ya.
Bye.